Hey everybody, Al Puglisi Trains, and I'm with my friend Bob Johnson. How you doing, Bob?
Pretty good, Al.
And this is a revisit to Bob's layout, and it's been almost what, 3 years?
Close to 3 years.
Yeah, and a lot has changed, and I want to show it to you. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to do just a walkthrough real quick, and then we're handed over to Bob to talk about the layout. Folks, this is what you see when you first come in here, and Bob, I'll just ask you some questions back there about what's the approximate size of this layout?
It's L-shaped, more or less L-shaped.
Okay.
The total length from one end to the other is 55 feet.
Mm-hmm.
This large area you're looking at here is roughly 16 by 18.
Okay. And one of the things that struck me the minute I walked through the door, folks, was these wild hydrangea trees. And it turns out Bob knew Harry Clark.
I knew Harry Clark years ago, yes.
And we're going to talk more about Harry Clark because, as you know, he's one of my mentors and was kind of like an adopted granddad my wife and I never had. We dearly love the man. And, Bob, it's gotten impossible to find this wild hydrangea.
Yeah, I think modern land management practices have a lot to do with that. Wild hydrangea is what they call a pioneer plant, and so you have exposed bare ground. It's one of the first plants that comes in. In today's world, with all the emphasis on environment and all,
Right.
they always go in and overseed and plant the areas, and as a result, the wild hydrangea never gets to.
Right.
So the only place you're going to find it is up in the woods where you have like creek banks where they get
Right.
washed out during the flooding and all.
Right. Outcroppings and stuff.
Yeah, but you used to be able to get it along road cuts and things of that nature, but anymore, just as I say, because of all the environmental planning and all, it just never has an opportunity to grow.
And I found it near Camp David for 6 or 7 years and picked it with my wife for 10 years and almost got arrested a couple times. Those are separate stories that it didn't go well for me, folks, but we'll talk about that in another episode. In the meantime, let me keep panning through this for you. Beautiful scenes. Now, Bob, the track is code 70?
All code 70, yes.
And did you hand lay the track?
Yeah, parts of it are hand laid and parts of it are commercial flex track. I started out hand laying, but to be honest with you, some of the newer commercial track is so well done that I just started using it.
Wow. Just beautiful. Let me zoom away here. A little bit back down. And just lots of little scenes. And tell us about this this plant facility. What is this?
This is a limestone quarry.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, it's captive. It's owned by Bethlehem Mines, so all the stone that comes out of it goes to Sparrows Point in Baltimore for fluxing and blast furnace operations.
Okay. And you scratch built this? Everything here scratch built?
The loading tipple is a kit bash.
Okay.
The crusher house is a super kit bash / scratch built using leftover parts from a Wolf's New River coal mine.
Wow.
And then the conveyor is totally scratch built. The electric substation on the roof is scratch built, things of that nature.
This is just beautiful here.
That was that started out as the model. I even forget who did it years ago. It was the model of the Cheyenne Coaling Tower.
Yeah, the IHC. Union Pacific Coaling Tower.
Yeah, and that has been
Kit bashed.
Kit bash, cut down in length. Loading facilities changed. Control house added. So
God.
Again, it's a major kit bash of a commercial kit.
Beautiful scene here. And then it rolls out of this scene into just beautiful calming scenery with the hydrangea trees that I have always been in love with, that Harry has turned me on to. Your scenery, Bob, is absolutely stunning. It's a hydrocal. What, any particular method or?
It's all just regular casting plaster.
Okay.
All the rock work is done in small molds that were taken off lumps of coal.
Okay.
and then I break the molds apart into smaller pieces, then reassemble them with plaster.
And you did the molds yourself?
Yes, I made the molds myself.
You know, Harry told me that a lot of the molds he made were from coal.
Right.
Giant lumps of coal.
Now this limestone here, that was taken off of an actual limestone cliff.
Okay.
Near Ronsford, West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
And over on the other side, we get over there, we go from limestone to sandstone.
Okay.
And the molds for that was taken off an actual big lump of sandstone. So.
Oh, my God. And
But all of the limestone, so to speak, is basically made from fairly fine grained bituminous coal.
Oh, wow. No, it's beautiful. And then there's another meat packing plant. I did a separate video on that, folks. It's the story behind it is just incredible. And then this is this building here is pretty interesting.
That's what they call an Ampho plant. Ampho stands for ammonium nitrate and fuel oil. Mm-hmm. It's a commercial explosive.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they that's what they blew up the Murtaugh building in Oklahoma City with.
Oh my God! Oh Lord!
They've received hopper cars of ammonium nitrate prills, and they've received tank cars of red dyed fuel oil.
My Lord!
Diesel fuel, and when they mix them together, it becomes an explosive.
Good God! Let me pause here. All right, folks, that guy's smoking a cigarette back there, and I can imagine they've had some pretty bad incidents at these places. Oh my!
Actually, interestingly enough, the material only burns. It will not explode. Okay. Unless it's packed in and uses it has to have an initiator like a stick of dynamite to set it off.
Okay, but that guy shouldn't be smoking a cigarette sitting over there.
It burns very fast and hot. So
that guy's smoking a cigarette. Tell us about this section, Bob. We've got a coal tower here. It looks scratch built.
Yeah, this is actually the oldest part of the layout.
Okay.
It's been moved twice, believe it or not. And this is the interchange between the B&O Railroad, which is basically staging. Uh-huh. B&O trains come out of staging, they drop off inbound cars, pick up outbounds, and go back to staging. So this is, as I say, it acts as the interchange yard, little engine terminal here for servicing locomotives.
Wow. Look at this little station back here.
That station is scheduled to be replaced. That represents the B&O station at Urbacon, West Virginia, which was originally West Virginia Central, I believe.
Wow.
And I've recently found photographs of the actual station that was there. So I'm going to get scratch build a model of the station and replace that.
And then you do actual operating sessions with cards, the whole 9 yards.
Right. Yeah, we do a timetable train order, 8 hours to a session, 3 sessions to a day.
Folks, the scenery on this layout is just, it's absolutely exquisite. Everything about it. The track, the Code 70 track, you can really notice that the rail is very realistic. You know, this is an interesting complex. Tell us about this.
This is a beehive coke oven complex.
Okay.
The area I am theoretically in never had any coke ovens, but they were in the general area. The building at the end there, that's what they call the slack house. Mm-hmm. They take lump coal and crush it down to basically about the 1/4 inch size. Okay. Which is then called slack. They load the coal into a Larry car. The Larry dumps it into the ovens, and then where it's burned to coke. Then they quench it and rake it out and load it into hoppers to ship off.
A lot of operations here.
Yeah.
A lot of operations.
20 ovens. A lot of the operations that I'm familiar with would have anywhere from 200 to 400. 400 ovens. But that would. The biggest coke plant I know of actually ran for 3 miles up and down the New River. Good Lord. So obviously you can't model that. So
to speak of the devil, tell us about this coal mine. It's beautiful.
This is modeled to be what they call a slope mine, where the entryway goes down a grade into the coal seam. If it goes straight into the hillside, it's called a drift mine. Okay. But in that case, you can actually see typically you'll see the coal seam exposed here.
Okay.
We don't see it here, so it's probably going down at an angle.
Tell us about that orange clay-like water running out of there.
The drainage that comes out of the mines, the water mixes with the sulfur and the coal and becomes acidic, and then it reacts with the iron and the coal to form ultimately iron sulfate. It starts out as iron sulfite, and then it oxidized to iron sulfate, and that's the orange so-called water that comes out of the mines.
This is beautiful.
And it would, you walk along the old creek beds, and the whole creek bed would be orange from that material deposited out on it.
Does it have a stench from it being like sulfury at all?
A little bit. It's not real bad.
Okay. This is just... Now, is this a prototype, this, or no? Is this fantasy, or is this based on a prototype?
It's fantasy. It's kit bashed from 2 New River coal mine kits.
Okay.
It is sort of inspired by the mine that was... now I forget where it was. There was a mine up in Western Maryland.
Okay.
That sort of looked like that, and that's sort of where I got the inspiration. But
wow.
I can't now remember even what mine it was.
That's all right. And let's move over to another area of the layout that you've got a 9% grade. Now, is that a short line or a main line or what?
That's the branch that serves the coal mine.
All right, man, look at that.
We use a large 3-truck shay with basically Western Maryland Big 6.
Okay.
We take 8 empties down, work them on, and bring 4 loads up, double the hill, and bring the other 4 loads up.
Wow. Just like, well, at Cass, there was what, 7%?
On the main line, they had some branches that went up to 11%.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But the main line had 7% grades on it.
And then we're snaking around here, and we're going to talk about, as I come around. And Bob uses a lot of natural materials for his logs. I've said this before, nothing beats real logs and real dirt. And then this is a work in progress of a mill, the sawmill you're building. Tell us about it.
This is based off of a series of kits made by Keystone Models back in the 1970s.
Right, I remember these.
Which are basically a highly compressed version of the mill at Cass, West Virginia.
Very compressed.
So these mock-ups, I basically took the instruction sheets from the kits and Xeroxed them.
Just to have for operations. So.
And then pasted them onto foam core board.
Right.
And ultimately there'll be a sorting dock here, dry kilns here. This is the planing mill.
Right.
And the air dry docks will come on down here into the...
So folks, that's why you need to stay tuned to my channel, because a year from now, when Bob calls me and says, get your butt out here, because guess what? My lumber yard is ready. We're going to, 2 years. All right, 2 years. And the lumber yard is ready. It's going to be updated on my channel. I love this sawdust. God, man, this thing's beautiful. Bob's going to you're going to put a slope roof on this and a cyclone.
Roof and then a cyclone dust collector.
Yeah.
And a line going into this structure is a flooring mill.
Right.
They take selected cuts, usually shorts of hardwood, and make hardwood flooring out of it.
All right, beautiful. Let me pause this. All right, folks, this is a big meat packing plant, and I'm not going to talk too much about this because you need to go to my channel, because we did a separate video, about a 5-minute video talking about this. And, you know, we talked about the meat packing plant, but the one thing I didn't talk about too much, when you talked about a Judas goat, I thought, no, it kind of went over my head because I was so overwhelmed with filming this livestock. But again, tell us about the Judas goat. It becomes friends with the other animals?
Right. For some reason, a lot of other animals like goats.
Okay, here he is, a Judas goat.
They would frequently put goats in with racehorses to help keep them calm.
Right.
So they would train the goats to walk up this ramp to the killing floor.
Right.
And then they would bring it out the gate and walk it back down. So he's coming back.
Right.
And they would take the goats and put them in the stock pens with the other animals and leave them in there long enough for them to get used to each other.
Right, and then
they would bring the goat out, and the goat would lead the rest of the animals up their ground,
up to their death.
which is where they get the name Judas goat.
Right, because the goat would the goat would come on with me, and he'd go up the killing ramp and trick the poor cow or whatever it is, and then the goat would just come walking back down,
Right.
ready to get somebody else to bring up.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I've read that one of the rewards they would give to the goats was a plug of chewing tobacco.
Oh my God! All right,
I have no idea if that's true or not, but I've read that.
Oh man, that would be the funniest thing to watch. My God, man! And there's so much operations here to have. We're not going to get into the politics of meat packing, but tell us all the different you've got.
Well,
tell us, yeah.
Meat packing plant operation, and this is a small operation.
Right.
It's probably the one industry on the railroad that never really existed in the area I'm modeling.
Right.
But it just has, as I say, so much operating potential. We bring carloads of coal in here.
Right.
For the boiler plant.
Right.
Because they need a lot of steam and hot water for the slotting. We'll bring reefers in to ship out the hanging beef.
Right.
They take the byproducts from their animals, which is basically the hides and the intestines, things of that nature, and they would store those. That's this building is the storage house for
the byproducts.
For the byproducts, and then when they'll load those into box cars and ship them off to rendering plants and leather tanneries. And it was so hard on the cars that they had designated cars for that work. They called them restricted service cars. And most of them were wood because the wood stand up to the acids from the meat products better than the metal cars.
Just a lot of operations. Just, this layout was built to operate, folks. So everything has a purpose. Everything has operations. You've got your tanks here for the oil facilities or whatever these are. I guess oil or fuel.
There's 6 tanks there, so that would be low test gas, high test gas.
Okay.
Diesel 2, home heating oil. And then the 2 horizontal tanks would be diesel 1 and kerosene.
Okay.
So basically it's 2 tanks of gasoline and 4 tanks of distillate.
So, you've got operations to deliver and pick up tank cars. So that facility is just a beautiful run here through the yard. And just a beautiful facility. And we're ending this video in just a little while. If it's okay, maybe we can run something up that grade, maybe a locomotive. Right. And this here is a Magnuson. These are just beautiful. Tell us about the backdrop here, Bob. You used photographs. Tell us about what you did.
The basic background, the trees and all were painted on masonite.
Okay.
A friend of mine up in Hagerstown, the name of Larry Snook, painted those years ago. Then I took some commercial backdrop that had a whole little town up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Which were all these houses.
Right.
But they had 2 problems. A, they were too small, and B, they were way too crisp and sharp to be in the background.
Right.
So I scanned sections of it and then enlarged it. These are enlarged at 200%.
Okay.
And I printed them on just ordinary printer paper.
Right.
And between the enlarging and they lose a lot of sharpness and detail, which actually makes them blend into the background better. And
Andrew Dodge talked about that too. He would use like the lower quality printing setting. Right. He wouldn't use the very crispest setting. He would use like just the standard
setting. And I found by putting them on regular paper instead of photo paper, you get more of that. It mutes the colors more.
Right.
Oh, on the backdrop.
Yeah, look at that water tank. Now, who did this backdrop for you? You said
Larry Snook.
Okay.
Out of Hagerstown.
It's beautiful. He used what, oil paint or?
It's all
acrylics or?
I think it's all acrylics.
Wow.
In fact, I'm sure it is.
Wow, this is beautiful. And this, I don't think this was anywhere near as finished as
that was probably about half done the last time you were here.
Wow.
That's another Magnuson kit from the old days.
Oh yeah. And then over here is your ash pit, and God, this is beautiful. Let me get an aerial view here.
Yeah. Basically, we have in this little area we have ash pit, sanding, coaling, water, and running inspection repairs.
Wow. This old Alexander coal tower.
Yeah, that goes way back.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing these every month in Model Railroad, or Alexander would advertise this coal tower or the signal tower, or the coal tower or the signal tower. And I have, ever since I was 13, 14 years old, every model railroader, Alexander, signal tower, coal tower.
Right.
And folks, I did another video on the brass locomotives on this layout. You need to see it. It'll be posted on the channel. Tell us about this beautiful station back here.
That is a prototype for that was the C&O stations that were built on the Greenbrier branch.
Okay.
And which are similar to some of the other stations, but a little bit smaller in terms of total dimension. That kit was made by
Laser Art or something made, or
Glorcraft.
Okay.
And then it became
Gold.
Northeastern Scale Models, which was I think it was Northeastern.
Okay.
Anyway, it was a division of Bowser at the time, I believe.
Okay.
And that station can be built in 3 links, and that's the largest of the 3 versions. Same kit was designed to be. Basically, you could cut it off right here. You could cut it off right here, or you could build it full length.
And it's very similar to the stations they had at Cass back in the 1940s, I think.
It was similar to the stations that was at Durban and Marlington.
Okay.
The one at Cass was unique. It was.
Oh, it was different? Okay.
It was a little bit different from all the other C&O stations.
Okay. This road is in this town back here. And again, we're using more of the photo in the back, the photograph. This is really stunning, this scene and this road. Tell us about that little town back there. God, is that pretty.
The real town of Webster Springs, which is what we're basing it, had I guess you could call it a suburb called Cherry Falls. So in my world, that's Cherry Falls.
Wow.
My model of Cherry Falls is about 10 times bigger than the real town ever dreamed of being. So it's no attempt to actually model the town. It's a place name, and I needed something back there to fill in that corner that I couldn't reach to operate. So.
And this is your engine house. Tell us about the engine house.
That's a Walther's kit that's been painted up and weathered. Pretty much built straight out of the box. The one thing I did do was replace some of the windows in the cupola with louvers to allow the smoke out. But as I say, it's pretty much, that's one of the few kits in the layout that's built straight out of the box.
And then this turntable, we talked about this, folks. You need to go check out the brass video that Bob and I did. But for those that don't, tell us about why this turntable has these.
Western Maryland had an isolated branch south of Fairmont, West Virginia. They called the Chieftain Line. And the turntable there, it had no storage tracks around it. Just a single line came down, turned the engines and back up the hill to the shops. But it was built on a promontory or point, and where the West Fork River made a sharp U-bend. And one side of it was dug into the hill, and the other side was built up on these retaining walls. And when the West Fork River flooded in the spring, the water would come right up into the pit of the turntable. So they had those openings there to allow the river to run back out of the turntable pit.
This is beautiful. Well, let's go run is it okay if we run a train?
Sure.
All right, I told Bob, show us this unique pull-out area. I forgot to talk about this.
A little quick background. The original plan for the layout was for it to continue on down where my lounge is now. And there was going to be a staging yard down there. Other considerations got in the way, so I had to truncate the railroad here. So to get staging in, I built what the British call a traverser.
Okay.
And this is... I have 5 tracks in here, and there's a track that comes down inside there and lines up. So you just select the track you want, lock it in. And
it will attach to the main line.
It runs onto the main line, loops around, and comes out up here on the top of the hill.
So this is theoretically, this is your staging.
This is my staging, and in our operating scheme, this is referred to as Laurel Bank on the Western Maryland.
And when you pull the drawer out, it locks the track in on the inside here that loops up onto the, and you close it.
Let me show you something here.
Alrighty. That's ingenious.
I don't know if you can see it or not, but right up under there is where I don't know if it'll show or not. Yeah, right there is the track, and what I've done is there's a re-railer there cut off right to the edge of the re-railing.
Okay, I see it.
And then there's another re-railer right at the end of the track here.
Wow.
So you're basically butting a re-railer to a re-railer.
Right.
So if there's at least a little slight bit of misalignment, it doesn't cause issues.
And it comes out up here.
Comes out up here.
Man, what a great operation.
That's also a steep grade.
Well, let's go check a train out running. Folks, we got a treat for you. We're going to run number 6, the big Western Maryland Shay. And we're going to run her. We're going to take her up. And we're going to run her with some cars over to that grade. Wow, what a piece of art this locomotive is. We talk about Harry Clark, folks. Harry Clark is the fellow that built the mill at Cass on my layout. And we're going to do a video on Harry. And eventually, if any of my viewers knew Harry or have any stories about Harry, email me at alpug1@verizon.net and let me know who you are and your contact information, because I'm going to do a tribute to Harry in a future video. But these are photographs. Harry took hundreds of photographs up at Cass, but so did Bob. And this is the inside of the mill that I have on my layout, the mill at Cass. Now Bob just went inside here. They don't allow people to go in there, and I think he did these photos back in the early 70s. And the mill was already abandoned by then. But Bob took these photos of the inside of the abandoned mill before it was burned to crisp, burned down. And this is on my layout currently on the Pugsburg Railroad. It's seen better days. And I've took a lot of pictures here of the mill. Absolutely so cool. Bob, these pictures were taken back in the early 70s?
Those photos were taken in the mid-70s.
Mid-70s. Yeah, mid-70s Bob took these photos, and you can get away with a lot back then, but man, you can't get away with that today. And when I do a feature on my mill at Cass, this will be part of the presentation. But I thought I'd show it to you because it was in a book over at Bob's house when I visited the layout. We're getting together a train here for number 6 to take over to the grade I'll show you. I was putting together an interesting little freight for number 6 to...
These are loads that had just come from the mine, and normally the train going down the hill would be empties.
Okay.
And you'll notice that the engine is running in reverse.
Right. Tell us about what you told me about running the locomotive in reverse,
yeah.
going down a really steep grade.
You look at most of your geared engines, you'll see they have tapered boilers. The reason of that is to help keep water over the firebox. So when you're running on a very steep grade, they would normally back down the hill so that the water in the boiler would stay over the firebox, not burn the crown sheet.
Wow. Watch number 6 back down. And you say this grade's about 9%?
It's somewhere between 8 and 9%. Yeah.
Wow. And you say Cass had some areas upwards as high as 11.5.
Mainline, they tried to keep under 9. They had some areas on the logging spurs that went up to 11.
Wow. And you can see it doesn't glitch, it doesn't buck. That's because the gears are tight. There's no slop. Bob, thanks for showing us your layout. This is absolutely beautiful. And I really appreciate all the time and effort you spent with me today.
It's been a pleasure, Al.
And folks, please check out part 2, which is in depth about the brass locomotives, and also check out the meatpacking plant video, which was also interesting.
Right there you can get a pretty good view of how steep that grade really is.
Oh my Lord, yeah. Look at that. My God. Very, very impressive, beautiful layout. Thanks for watching, folks. Please share this video with somebody else. We should get 100,000 views on this, but hey, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But it's just absolutely drop dead gorgeous.